What's up, everybody? This is Dale from Upstate Bets and DFS. I'm here with my partner Riaz, bringing you guys NFL Week 13 here. NFL videos have been absolutely smashing on the channel. Can't thank you guys enough for that. As well, we're running a giveaway for a $50 Visa gift card. If you want to sign up for that, you subscribe to the channel and hop in the Discord, and you're in. So Discord's been awesome. We talk a lot of NBA on this channel too. We do NBA just about every single day besides Sunday. So you can hop on that and you can learn a little bit about NBA if you haven't dove into it yet on Prize Picks. And if this is your first time playing Prize Picks, you can mix and match sports on here. You can do NFL with NHL, MMA with NBA, college football, college basketball, boxing. There's a lot of different ways to play. Super simplified, no sharks. It's an awesome way to play. We've been grinding it. It's been awesome. It's been a fun ride so far. So hop in on Prize Picks if you haven't yet. You can sign up using promo code Upstate, and you can get a $100 deposit match on your first deposit. So you deposit 100, you get 100 back, 25, 25 back. So do as you will. Be responsible with Prize Picks as well. We're not promoting gambling here, but it has been fun to us. Like I said, we've learned a lot with all the support from you guys, especially on the Discord. So no doubt, man. NFL, we got a couple games that might get a little bit shootout esque right here. We got the Chargers and the Bengals, which looks nice. Tampa Bay should be heavy favorites against Atlanta. The Rams are super heavy favorites going against Jacksonville. Baltimore and Pitt should be, a lower scoring game, but has potential to be, pretty high scoring. We've seen Pittsburgh being shootouts with like the Chargers and whatnot. So a couple decent games here. A lot of really nice lines. PrizePick did a good job here on Week 13 on these lines. We're gonna start in passing yards, man. And Riaz, who do you like?
I like Joe Burrow here. We saw the last couple of games; he did go under, but that's kind of the fact that both games were a blowout. I mean, last game against Pitt, it was 41-10, and then the game before that against the Raiders, it was 32-13. And Joe Mixon was kind of rushing the ball and doing his thing, so they didn't really need Joe Burrow to really throw the ball that much. But I think this game is going to be completely different. Going against the Chargers, his line sitting at 231. I think that's just a great line for him. To be honest with you, in games where they stay super close, Burrow needs to throw the ball. And besides the blowout games where he really doesn't need to throw, they're kind of relying on Mixon. He's gotten over this line every single time. His weapons are unbelievable with Higgins, with Tyler Boyd, even mixing out of the backfield, and you can't even not mention Jamar Chase. Ton of weapons. I see him getting over this line pretty easily, and the best thing about this is his average is kind of around 250. That's kind of where, if the game stays close, that's where he's gonna be, and that's 20 yards over this prop. So definitely like this line for him.
Yeah, are we ready to believe that the Cincinnati Bengals are somewhat Super Bowl contenders here? I mean, they've just been playing so well. Starts with Joe Burrow here in the quarterback position. He's got the weapons, no doubt. We've been on him for a couple different props so far this season, and in a couple different weeks. And we've hit with him, but we also got burned in that Vegas game. At least I did, because I thought that was going to be a shootout kind of game, and Cincinnati just had their way with them. So I really like this matchup, though, going against the Chargers, two really well coach teams and two really good teams in the AFC, two young teams, two young quarterbacks going at it. So I really like this matchup. Burrow, like you said, around his average, around 250, 255. So realistically, he should get here with all the weapons he has. Mixon has been playing amazing, though. I should mention Mixon. He's been playing amazing. He's been getting a lot of workload, but Mixon's also a guy who can catch it out of the backfield. They run a lot of screen work for him. He does see a couple of targets a game, so I like Mixon too to be as a threat for a pass catcher as well. You can't ignore him. So Burrow here, 231. Really like the over on him here in that matchup. And everyone else here is right where they should be. Realistically, there was a couple unders that I was on, but I'm kind of iffy about still. But I'll be talking about those in the Discord. And then, is there anyone else here you wanted to talk about?
Not really. I mean, I like Trevor Lawrence last week. Line's kind of sitting right around the same, but such a tough matchup against the Rams. And like you said, there's a couple unders that I like, but I don't know if I really want to take the chance on them. Like, I really don't mind Zach Wilson under against Philly. Eagles have a great defense, so I could definitely see Wilson going under here.
And then like Stafford, they're playing, Jacksonville game that just can massively blow out, and they don't need him to throw the ball that much. Roethlisberger against Baltimore, but Baltimore's defense has been suspect at times, especially in that division game. So we'll see how things go. Rushing yards, a couple guys here that I really like. So let's just start off the rushing yard prop. Just the guy we've been on every single week so far. That's JT. Literally just been smashing. He's playing against Houston here. He's at 105 and a half. Really scary against Tampa Bay. So really didn't get it until the end, and I was really nervous coming into halftime. Like he had like 7 or 8 touches. So what concerns me here a little bit about this is they were playing against Tampa Bay with they're really good up front. Obviously, Tampa Bay is, but the fact that they weren't just using him a little bit more, and then do we expect him to get a full workload here against Houston? I don't know. I think Colts are the type of team that kind of plays down to their competition too. They've beat up on some bad teams so far this year, but I don't think the Colts are really going to go out there. Honestly, I don't think they're going to just destroy Houston. I think Houston, they have a little bit of potential in bigger games like this. I mean, they beat the Titans. I don't know. I don't think the game's necessarily going to be a huge lopsided victory for the Colts. So they could use JT a little bit here, and he's just got the big breakaway ability. Workload should be there. So I like JT over 105. I think it's a safe over.
Yeah, I mean, last time they played, it was week 6, and it was a huge blowout. It was 31-3, but Jonathan Taylor still had 14 attempts, ripped off 143 yards, and had 2 touchdowns. So I think the big thing here for me is Carson Wentz was just really just tearing apart the Tampa Bay defense, and they really didn't need Jonathan Taylor. And then when the game started to get close, they kind of realized that. Carson Wentz really needs Jonathan Taylor to get going on the ground, and that's kind of what he did, and it helped. He got over the rushing yards, which was nice, but I think Jonathan Taylor's in a great spot, like you said. The one guy I'm on, it's kind of a questionable pick, just because he is questionable, and that's Jalen Hurts. He hurt his ankle Wednesday. Him and Minshew were really splitting snaps in practice, first team snaps. So it is tough to see, especially since he has an ankle injury, if he's not fully 100%. But if this New York Jets team is just awful. I really like his line at 44 and a half. If you just look at his last like 6-7 games, he's hit this every single time. It's just a prop. I really don't mind going after, but if Jalen Hurts does miss, I don't mind Miles Sanders. It kind of seems to me that Philly knows they got to get Sanders going, and really anybody in this on this Eagles team going. We know that they're not that great at passing. Jalen Hurts is a very inconsistent passer, so the way they win games is rushing the ball, and Miles Sanders is a great rushing great rushing guy. To be honest with you, I mean, it was nice to see him come off injury and have 94 against the Saints, and then 64 rushing yards against the Giants last week. So his line at 62 and a half is looking pretty nice against this really bad Jets team.
No doubt, man. I think Hurts, for me, is definitely a lock over 44 and a half if he plays. If not, I like to pivot over to Sanders for sure. His line definitely could creep up if Hurts misses, though, so let's monitor that news. I wanted to talk about Mixon a little bit, but since then we're on the Burrow prop. I think Burrow's prop a little bit more safer than Mixon, but he's been absolutely smashing. I like him in a different prop, though. And then I'm going to go all the way to the top here. I'm going to talk about Jamal Williams, man. So Dan Campbell said that, he's really going to be the guy here. He was already getting a decent amount of workload with DeAndre Swift in. So, I mean, I like Jamal Williams here. He should see around 18 carries in this game. It's not the best matchup. I mean, Minnesota is about middle of the pack when it comes to rushing defense. So Jamal Williams, just based off of workload, I don't expect this game to stay super competitive. I think Minnesota should have their way with this team, and I don't know. Jamal Williams just seems just off a volume play, he seems pretty safe.
Yeah, and when we've seen Swift miss, Williams has stepped into this role and just done a great job. And that 54 and a half really doesn't seem too much for him. We saw how great he was when he played for Green Bay. And not only that, even if this game doesn't stay that close, I think Jamal Williams still gets a bunch of carries, and uh, he's kind of really the only guy for this Detroit team in the backfield that they're really comfortable with. So Swift's been dealing with a lot of injuries, so they're probably thinking, you know what, we signed Williams, we better give this guy a bunch of run, considering we don't really know. If Swift's going to really stay healthy every single year. So this is a great spot for him.
And then the last guy I wanted to go down here, I just like a lot of these rushing props, is Elijah Mitchell. He's going against the Seattle team that's just awful on defense, honestly, and he's at 83 and a half. He saw 27 attempts back-to-back games, one against the Rams and Minnesota, and both ran for just about 100 yards, 133 yards against Minnesota and 91 yards against the Rams. So, and we've seen him go against the Colts and Chicago and run for over 100 yards against them. So, I mean, he's in a solid spot against the Seattle team, and if he's gonna see like that massive workload, 27 attempts, that's just massive for 83 and a half yards. He should get over that.
Yeah, I mean he's averaging almost 87 yards rushing this season, and this Seattle rushing defense and just defenses in general is awful. We've seen a lot of running backs come into Seattle and just have awesome performances, and Elijah Mitchell, he he's getting the time that he kind of deserves. No one really thought about this guy in the beginning of the season, and he's kind of proving himself as a top. I wouldn't say top guy, but a pretty relevant guy in the NFL so far this year. So definitely don't mind that 83 and a half.
Yeah, we'll go over to receiving yards. There's a this prop. These props kind of always stay the same week after week. These are really matchup based. I think at the top, I think we're kind of both on Darnell Mooney here going against Arizona. Tougher matchup here, for this team. And, Andy Dalton, we're not really sure about his productivity being the quarterback on this team. But we know Darnell Mooney is definitely a stud, and he's just been smashing lately. And he's definitely a big play guy, too. Definitely can catch a screen, or definitely can get a nice slant and just kind of break it all the way, man. So Darnell Mooney, I like him in his receiving yards more than I do his receptions, but receiving over 53, just been smashing. So obviously Arizona's defense is better than Detroit and Baltimore's, but he's a guy definitely to monitor.
I really like Moody just on the fact that it really doesn't matter who they throw in there for QB, if it's Dalton, if it's Fields, it doesn't really matter. He still gets kind of the same amount of targets with both of them. And Allen Robinson, I don't know if he's hurt. He's just a no show, and Moody seems like the guy. So definitely don't mind him at all. The guy I'm on, and it's no surprise, is Cooper Cup. His line sitting at 91 really doesn't matter to me, to be honest with you. He's got a great matchup against Jacksonville, and even with Robert Woods in, and I know he's done for the year, and now they added OBJ. It's just really not affecting Cooper Cup at all. I mean, he's the best wide receiver in the league this year right now. 10 touchdowns, over 1,200 yards receiving, averaging almost 113 a game. So every single game, it seems to me that he gets 100 yards. And against this really bad Jacksonville defense, I can see him racking up close to 100 yards right in the first quarter or first half. And then if this game does blow out, he might not play much in the fourth. But I think it's only going to take him 3 quarters to get over this 91-yard prop.
Oh, no doubt. He's definitely a guy that can get here very quickly. Just a threat all over the field, and wherever they want to line him up. We've seen him doing it against great corners too, and it doesn't scare me here with the blowout either. I think he's in a solid spot to get this regardless. So Cooper Cup, 91, it just seems there for him. Just seems safe to go over him for Cooper Cup. Anyone else here? I know there's a couple running backs that look solid. Like, we're all over that Cincinnati game, and I know Austin Eckler looks promising too. He's at 38. He gets a decent amount of workload in the passing game. We've seen, upwards of 8, 7, 6. We've seen upwards of 10 targets in a game before. He seems pretty safe, but we also seen a floor of like 15 and 23. So it just kind of depends how the game goes, but realistically, he's an option to look at.
I really don't mind taking a shot at Ayuk or George Kittle with Debo being out. I think both of these lines are really nice. We've seen Ayuk kind of flourish in the last couple of weeks, and then George Kittle is, what you're kind of getting with Kittle. His line sitting at 51 and a half. I really don't mind that at all. I think we're going to go back to see where he gets 10, 11 targets and kind of has a monster game where he just takes over. And with Debo being out, I think that opens up just so many targets for both these guys. And we already touched on how bad this Seattle defense is. So really, for me, I prefer Kittle, but I don't mind if you go to Ayuk either.
Yeah, it's Ayuk. Ayuk is, I don't know. He's been up and down, obviously, to start the season, but like you said, he's been flourishing lately. He's been playing well in the offense, and Debo eats up a lot of targets. So with him being out, Kittle and Ayuk, I think I like Ayuk a little bit more. I've been on Kittle a couple of times. Kittle seems safe, but with Ayuk, man, just obviously like huge playability too. But I do expect them to have their way with the Seattle team. Honestly, I really do, and I really like Mitchell over there in the rushing props. So I'm just gonna stay. I'm gonna hop over to receptions. Really, is there anyone here that you like?
There's only one guy that I really like. A lot of these lines are really tight. I mean, Prize Picks has really nailed this category right on the head. It's kind of incredible. I'm just kind of looking through for the value, and the only value I really found was Mark Andrews. His line's sitting at 4. We've seen the volume of targets he gets game after game. Pretty incredible. It's like Travis Kelsey asking Darren Waller, and it's really tough to think that he's not going to get over 4. I mean, we've seen so many games so far this year. I mean, he gets 5, 6, 7. I mean, he's played 11 games so far this year, and he's only missed just barely a handful of times. It's only been 3 times he hasn't hit this over when the line's sitting at 4. So really like Mark Andrews here, and I like the matchup against Pitt.
Yeah, we've seen Pitt like as good as their defense, has been, week in week out. It's they're dealing with a lot of injuries, so it's been suspect at times, and tight ends have been pretty good against them, and I like Andrews here in the spot at 4 receptions. It seems very safe. Like you said, he's getting just a ton of volume. The game has potential to be high scoring too, but also you just can't. Sometimes with these division games, they do stay a little bit low scoring. But we're looking for receptions here for Andrews, so we're not looking for receiving yards or nothing. So I think with just 4 receptions, it seems very safe to take the over here on him. At passing touchdowns, no one I really jumps out at the screen to me. Really, I mean, Burrow, I like his passing yards more than his TDs, and Allen, he's in the later game on Monday. So, is there anyone else here you like between passing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, like any of these touchdown props?
I mean, if we could get Stafford or Brady at 2, that would be nice. I just don't like them getting 3 in just horrible matchups where we could see both of their running backs just have a monster game. Considering this could be a huge blowout, and Joe Burrow kind of burned me last week. He scored 1 early, and since it was such a blowout, they really didn't need him. But I don't mind going back to that. But really, other than that, I don't really um, feel like I can lock one in this category.
For me, the safest play really on the slate. I know I've been talking about a lot of safe plays, but realistically, one of the safest plays for me is Joe Mixon. Man, he's at rushing touchdowns. He's at a half. He's at a half a touchdown here. Um, yeah, he's just been playing ridiculous. Realistically, there's only been 4 games this season he hasn't had a rushing touchdown. So let that one sink in. We're at week 13, and he's just been playing great. He gets inside the 5 carries. He gets goal line work. He even gets passing work in the red zone. But just been playing so well, so well. And Cincinnati's the type of team that can pour on points at any moment. So I really like Mixon here over half. Definitely going to be one of my locks.
Yeah, like you touched on, it's only happened a couple times this season, and in the last 8 games, he's 7 for 8. So, definitely definitely love Joe Mixon. I'm sure if when he hits again this week, we'll be back on it again next week. But in the touchdowns, I like Austin Eckler to score just any touchdown, receiving, rushing. I think we're just kind of coming to agreement that this Chargers and Bengals game is going to be probably one of the better games on the slate. A really high scoring game. So love Austin Eckler to score a touchdown this week.
Yeah, and we don't really target, reception touchdowns, passing completions. I mean, usually if there's someone that we're really on, we'll talk about it, but pass completions are really a category that we're never really on, as well as, interceptions too. So over in fantasy score, a couple guys look really good. But I mean, a lot of the times I go after wide receivers here that get a lot of volume, in terms of receptions, because it is a full point PPR here on Prize Picks. So who do you like?
I like Jalen Waddle just on the fact that he's been going off. I mean, we kind of expected it since Tua and Waddle have a connection before, but just these last two games. I mean, last week against Carolina, he had 9 catches for 137 and a touchdown, and then the week before against the Jets, he had 8 catches for 65. I mean, yes, two not great teams. I mean, Carolina's defense is definitely a lot better than most people would think, but he's going against another bad team in the New York Giants. I don't think this game stays too close, considering Danny Dimes is out and they're running Glennon. So I could see another blowout win for Miami, but just the fact that he's been playing so well, I can see him scoring another touchdown. And even if he doesn't score that touchdown, just the volume of targets and receptions that he gets. I mean, he could get 7 catches for 100 yards, and he's got the over here. And honestly, he doesn't even need 100 yards. He could get 7 catches, 60 yards, 65 yards, and hit this over, playing way too well. And I know that line at 13 seems a little scary, but just the volume he gets in this offense doesn't scare me at all.
Yeah, only five passing touchdowns. I mean, only five touchdowns, receiving touchdowns on the season. Um, but realistically, just based off of volume alone, I think that he can get here. We've been on him a lot so far this season, and he's paid off well for us. So I really like Waddle here. Is there anyone else you wanted to talk about? Because for me in fantasy score, I'm liking a couple other props. Off fantasy score, I like what we already talked about. So is there anyone else here you wanted to target?
No, not really. I mean, like we touched on Jamal Williams, his fantasy score sitting at 13, so I really don't mind that considering both of us talked about him being heavily used in this offense.
Yeah, I think to get there at 13, he's gonna have to see the end zone for sure. But definitely something that definitely can happen. Madison, he's at 18, but we've seen how he does when Cook's not there, so he's definitely someone to take a look at. But other than that, man, I think that'll wrap things up. We have a lot of picks here to go from. We talked about like 15. I mean, there's probably about 15 guys here, so really really solid week. Obviously we already talked about it. Hop in the Discord. Everyone's talking about other things. We've been dropping some lineups in there as well. We have a Twitter at Upstate Bets and DFS. You can follow that on Twitter. The link will be in the description. Sometimes we do a lineup on Twitter. So, regardless, have a good week on this Sunday. It's going to be a really fun day. A lot of good games here, and we'll be back for NBA on Monday. So we'll see you guys and have a good one. Peace.